Ladies and gentlemen, there's a truth so powerful, so transformative, that once you understand it, your life will never be the same again. Success begins with you, not your circumstances, not your education, not your luck. You. Every great achievement in history began in the same place, the mind of an individual who refused to accept failure as permanent. The most valuable asset you possess is not your money, your connections, or your status. It is the power of thought, the ability to choose your direction and to create a definite chief aim, a purpose so compelling that it stirs your soul and drives your every action. Success begins with self-responsibility. This is the foundation of all achievement, the bedrock upon which every enduring victory is built. Until an individual accepts without excuse or evasion that they are the master of their fate, they remain powerless to shape it. Self-responsibility is the moment a man or woman draws a line in the sand and declares, "I am accountable for my thoughts, my decisions, and my life." It is not a comfortable realization, but it is a liberating one. When you no longer blame others, your circumstances, or bad luck, you reclaim your greatest power, the ability to choose your response and change your course. There is a tendency in human nature to look outward for causes. We point to the economy, our upbringing, our environment, or our relationships as explanations for why we have not become what we dreamed. And while these things influence us, they do not control us. The world will always present obstacles, but it is not the obstacle that defines us. It is our reaction to it. Responsibility means saying, I cannot control everything that happens, but I can control what I do next. Until responsibility is accepted fully, success remains out of reach. Why? Because the moment you relinquish responsibility, you surrender control. You hand over the steering wheel of your life to someone or something else. If you believe your boss, your past, or even fate itself determines your destiny, then your motivation vanishes. Why strive? Why plan? Why fight for your dream if you believe you have no real influence over its outcome? Responsibility reignites that fire. It tells you you are in command. This principle does not mean you must carry guilt or shame for every misstep. It simply means you must own your power to respond, to learn, to grow, and to do better. Responsibility is not about blame, it is about ownership. A person who accepts full responsibility does not waste energy on resentment or self-pity. They use every experience, good or bad, as material to build a better future. You cannot rise to greatness while clinging to excuses. Excuses are the language of limitation. They may offer temporary comfort, but they guarantee long-term stagnation. Every excuse is a door lock from the inside. The moment you stop making them, you start unlocking potential. You begin to see opportunity where once you saw only obstacles. You recognize that your future is not written. It is forged by your decisions, your persistence, and your willingness to act. Personal responsibility demands discipline. It requires that you monitor your own thinking, manage your time, and take deliberate steps toward improvement. It demands that you stop waiting for someone to hand you success and start creating it yourself. You will never control all the conditions in your life, but you can always control your effort, your focus, and your attitude. That is where success starts. People often look for secret formulas or shortcuts to success, but the truth is much simpler. The first step is not technique, it is character. Before you build anything externally, you must construct a foundation internally, and that begins with the decision to take full responsibility. It is a shift in mindset that changes everything from a victim of circumstance to a creator of circumstances, from a passive observer to an active architect of life. The world does not owe you success. No one else can live your life, fight your battles, or build your vision. That work is yours alone. And when you accept that fully, not begrudgingly, but with purpose, you tap into a power that no failure, no setback, and no critic can ever take away from you. Responsibility is the beginning of freedom. It is the first great act of courage. It is the point from which all meaningful progress flows. Definiteness of purpose drives achievement. Without a clear, specific goal, no amount of effort can bring lasting success. The world is filled with individuals who are busy, active, and working hard, yet accomplishing very little of real value. Why? Because they lack direction. Effort without purpose is like a ship without a rudder. It may move, but it drifts, tossed by wind and current, never reaching a meaningful destination. Definiteness of purpose is the internal compass that transforms motion into progress, labor into results, and dreams into reality. When you decide exactly what you want with absolute clarity, you initiate a force that begins to organize your thoughts, your habits, and even your circumstances to support that purpose. The subconscious mind, when fed a specific and emotionally charged goal, begins working relentlessly to bring that vision into form. Ideas emerge. People appear. Resources are attracted. But it all starts with definiteness, a clear, unwavering decision about what you truly intend to achieve. A vague desire such as, I want to be successful, or I want to be happy, will never carry the power of a definite purpose. These are wishes, not goals. They lack shape. They cannot be measured or pursued with precision. A definite purpose is concrete. It has weight. It has urgency. It can be written down, visualized, and acted upon. It says, this is what I will accomplish. This is the outcome I am committed to. No matter how long it takes or how difficult the path becomes, every great accomplishment throughout history has been the result of individuals who held firmly to a definite major purpose. The towering skyscrapers, the revolutionary inventions, the transformative movements, none of these came about through chance or wandering. They were born in minds that were focused, determined, and obsessed with a single objective. These individuals were not merely talented. They were committed. They had burned the bridges behind them and refused to accept anything less than the full realization of their vision. Definiteness of purpose gives birth to discipline. When you know exactly what you want, distractions lose their power. You no longer waste time on tasks that do not serve your aim. You do not seek approval or wander in doubt. Instead, you become deliberate. Your actions align with your goals. Your time is invested, not spent. You measure progress, refine your methods, and persist through obstacles because you know where you're going and why you must arrive. This clarity of purpose also breeds confidence. Indecision creates fear. But when your purpose is definite, your doubts begin to vanish. You act with conviction because your path is chosen. You are not waiting to see what life gives you. You are declaring what you will take from life. You stop reacting and start creating. You become magnetic. People feel your sense of direction and are drawn to it. Doors begin to open. Energy begins to concentrate. That is the power of definiteness. It gathers all of you into a single line of force. A person without a definite purpose lives at the mercy of circumstances. They chase one thing today and another tomorrow, never gaining momentum, never building mastery, are easily discouraged, easily distracted, and often defeated before they even begin. But the individual who holds a clear purpose walks a different road. They do not ask whether success is possible. They decide that it is, and they shape their world accordingly. Their aim is fixed, their mind is made up, and their every action is a step toward fulfillment. You do not need to know every detail of how your goal will be reached. What you need is a precise vision of what you are reaching for. Once you possess that, the how begins to reveal itself. The mind, when backed by purpose, becomes a magnet for solutions, opportunities, and strength. All great men and women have known this truth. First comes vision, then comes action, and only then comes success. Thoughts shape reality, guard and direct them. Every action, every word, and every result in your life begins as a thought. The mind is the workshop where all plans are formed, and what you repeatedly allow into that workshop ultimately manifests in your experience. Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you are correct, because belief is thought, and thought is the foundation upon which your future is built. Your external world is a reflection of your internal world. If you think in terms of fear, limitation, and doubt, your actions will shrink to match those ideas. You will hesitate second, guess, and sabotage your own progress. But if your thoughts are rooted in confidence, faith, and clarity of purpose, your actions will rise to meet those expectations. The results you create are not accidents. They are echoes of your inner dialogue, shaped by the images and words you allow to occupy your mind. You must understand the power of suggestion, not only from others, but from yourself. Every word you speak about your abilities, your future, or your goals either builds or weakens your foundation. If you consistently say, "I'm not good enough," "this is too hard," or "I never get lucky," your mind takes these statements as commands. It begins to align your focus, your attention, and even your perception of the world around these beliefs. The mind does not question whether a thought is helpful or destructive. It simply acts on repetition and intensity. That is why guarding your thoughts is not optional. It is essential. Just as a farmer protects his soil from weeds, so must you protect your mind from negativity, confusion, and idle thoughts. You must be deliberate about what you feed your mind, what you read, what you listen to, and who you associate with. These influences plant seeds, and those seeds take root over time. Positive, focused thoughts lead to positive, focused results. Aimless, scattered thinking leads to chaos and failure. Directing your thoughts means taking control of the narrative running in your head. This requires discipline. When fear appears, you must confront it with reason and purpose. When doubt creeps in, you replace it with belief in action. This is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing the lens through which you view it. Two people can face the same setback. One sees defeat, the other sees a lesson. The difference lies in thought. The most successful individuals are those who have learned to think accurately, powerfully, and consistently. They do not allow emotions or setbacks to hijack their mindset. They return again and again to the thoughts that support their goals. They visualize success. They speak words of affirmation. They stay focused on what they want, not on what they fear. This mental discipline becomes a habit, and over time, that habit becomes a reality. No achievement, invention, or transformation has ever occurred without first existing in the mind. Every business, every work of art, every social movement began as a thought in one individual's imagination. The ability to hold an idea, to believe in it, and to pursue it with intensity is what turns dreams into substance. Your mind, properly directed, is your greatest tool. It can lift you from obscurity to greatness, from limitation to liberty, from fear to faith. But this tool must be trained. You cannot afford to let your thinking drift. Idle thoughts lead to wasted days lead to wasted years, and wasted years lead to a life of regret. The discipline of thought is the difference between intention and execution. It requires that you constantly return to your vision, affirm your belief in it, and remove every thought that weakens your resolve. You become what you think about most of the time. If you desire success, then think success. If you desire strength, then think strength. Think with purpose, think with clarity, and think with the conviction that your mind is the first and greatest engine of your success. Faith and belief precede all accomplishment. Before any goal can be reached, before any plan can be executed, and before any success can be achieved, there must first exist an unwavering belief that the outcome is possible. This belief is not a vague hope or passive wish. It is an inner conviction so strong that it refuses to be shaken by temporary defeat, external doubt, or even personal uncertainty. It is the soil in which persistence grows, and without it, the best strategies and the hardest work will eventually wither. Faith is the engine of human achievement. It is the force that drives men and women to begin long before the path is clear, and to keep going long after the evidence says they should quit. No one climbs great heights without first believing that the summit can be reached. No invention is created without the belief that the problem can be solved. No movement is sparked without the belief that change is possible. This is the silent strength behind every success story, the invisible power that sustains effort when results are delayed and critics are loud. Belief is more than a feeling. It is a choice to trust in possibility, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It is the decision to see obstacles not as signs of failure, but as steps on the path. Those who achieve great things do not wait for proof. They will succeed before they act, and their belief creates the conditions for success to take root. They speak with certainty. They plan with purpose. They move with intention because they have already succeeded in their mind. Without belief, doubt creeps in, and doubt is the destroyer of dreams. Doubt slows momentum. It invites hesitation, and hesitation leads to missed opportunities. The person who allows doubt to dominate their thinking becomes their own greatest barrier. They talk themselves out of progress. They second-guess their abilities. They accept defeat without resistance. Belief, on the other hand, removes limitations. It does not ignore risk or challenge, but embraces them with the confidence that solutions will be found and progress will be made. Faith does not need immediate evidence. It is not dependent on applause, support, or visible signs of progress. In fact, it often flourishes in silence. The most powerful belief is often the one held privately, in solitude, against all odds. It is the voice within that says, keep going, when everything outside says, stop. It is the reason a person keeps showing up, keeps preparing, and keeps striving even when no one is watching and nothing seems to be working. This type of faith is not naive. It is deeply practical. It understands that the mind must be committed before the body can persist. Those who cultivate belief create momentum. Their thoughts influence their feelings fuel their actions, and their actions reinforce their thoughts. This cycle becomes self-sustaining. Each small victory strengthens their confidence, and each setback is absorbed without damage because the core belief remains intact. Belief acts like a lens, shaping how a person interprets events. Where others see failure, the believer sees feedback. Where others stop, the believer adapts and continues. True faith is not just belief in an outcome. It is belief in oneself. It is the inner assurance that you are capable of learning, growing, and becoming equal to your goal. It is belief that effort will be rewarded, that persistence will pay off, and that the challenges faced along the way are forging the strength needed for the journey. Every great achievement is the product of this kind of faith. It begins in the mind, but it does not stay there. It expresses itself through action, discipline, and resilience. You cannot borrow belief from others for long. It must be built from within. You must choose it every day, especially on the days when it feels hardest to hold. It must be spoken, written, and affirmed. It must be protected from doubt, fear, and distraction. Once firmly established, it becomes a shield, a guide, and a fuel that drives every step forward. Action outweighs intention. Start where you are. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the ideal conditions, or a sign that it's time to begin. They plan, they prepare, they imagine, and they hesitate. They convince themselves that more information, more resources, or more confidence is required before they take the first step. But success never comes to those who wait endlessly. It comes to those who act. The world rewards action, not potential. 1,000 dreams mean nothing without the discipline and courage to turn one of them into reality. Intentions, no matter how noble or ambitious, do not produce results. It is easy to say, I'm going to start tomorrow, or someday I'll achieve that, but the calendar is filled with days that never arrive. Time moves forward, regardless of your readiness, and those who hesitate lose ground with every passing moment. Action creates momentum. Even small steps taken today have more value than perfect steps imagined for tomorrow. Starting where you are with what you have begins a chain reaction. One decision leads to another. One effort builds on the last, and eventually what began as a single step becomes a powerful stride toward transformation. The person who acts, even without all the answers, begins learning faster than the one who waits. Experience is the greatest teacher, and no book, no course, and no mentor can substitute for what you learn through doing. Mistakes made in motion are far more valuable than ideas kept in theory. Every action sharpens your understanding, strengthens your will, and clarifies your vision. It is in the doing that doubts begin to fade, and it is through effort that confidence is born. There is no such thing as a perfect starting point. Conditions will never be flawless. The resources you think you need will never all be in place. If you wait for everything to align, you will wait forever. Great accomplishments are often launched from imperfect beginnings. The great leaders, thinkers, and builders of history did not have ideal starts. They had the willingness to begin anyway. They were not always the most talented, but they were the most determined to act. Action cuts through fear. Fear thrives in stagnation. The longer you think about a risk, the bigger it becomes in your imagination. The longer you delay, the heavier the burden of starting becomes. But when you move, even in a small way, fear begins to shrink. The unknown becomes familiar. The impossible becomes manageable. There is power in movement, and that power becomes your ally when you embrace it with purpose. Starting where you are also means accepting responsibility for your current position. You may not like where you are, and you may not have chosen every part of your situation, but progress does not begin with blame. It begins with ownership. When you take stock of your reality, honestly and without excuses, you position yourself to improve it. You stop waiting for rescue. You become your own rescue. You stop asking for permission. You give yourself permission. Waiting is often disguised as preparation. But there comes a point when preparation becomes procrastination. There is always one more thing to learn, one more detail to fix, one more reason to delay. The achievers in this world know when to stop planning and start moving. They understand that progress comes through trial, not theory. They are willing to start small, to be uncomfortable, and to grow into their goals one action at a time. Every day that you hesitate is a day that could have brought you closer to your goal. Every moment spent in doubt is a moment you could have been building, learning, or advancing, there is no greater waste than unused potential, and there is no greater transformation than that which comes from action fueled by intention. Starting where you are means abandoning excuses and stepping into the work, regardless of how prepared you feel. You become what you consistently pursue. The direction of your life is not determined by what you occasionally do or what you once hoped for. It is shaped, molded, and defined by what you do repeatedly, day after day, in thought and in action. What you chase with persistence becomes part of you. It influences how you think, how you act, and what you ultimately become. Repetition creates identity, and over time, your dominant pursuits begin to write the story of your life. Most people believe they are defined by their intentions, but it is not intention that creates character or results. It is pursuit, what you invest time in, what you give your attention to, and what you make room for in your daily routine reveals your true values. You may say that success, growth, or mastery is important to you, but if your daily choices show distraction, avoidance, or comfort seeking, then that is the path you are truly walking. What you consistently pursue, whether it is strength or ease, vision or convenience, determines what you are becoming. There is a law in the universe that cannot be escaped. Energy flows where attention goes. The more you focus on something, whether positive or negative, the more influence it gains over your life. If you chase excuses, you become skilled at avoiding responsibility. If you pursue growth, even in small, steady ways, you become stronger, wiser, and more capable. The choice lies in what you feed, because what you feed will grow. You become not just what you think, but what you persist in thinking. Not just what you do once, but what you habitually do. Pursuit requires consistency. The person who makes a great effort once and then stops has gained little. But the one who shows up again and again, who boredom through resistance, through discomfort, slowly builds a momentum that becomes unstoppable. Greatness is never built in a single moment. It is the compound effect of many days, many actions, and many choices stacked one upon another. The mind adapts to what it experiences repeatedly. The body adapts to what it practices regularly, and the soul adapts to what it honors daily. You become what you are loyal to over time. You do not need to make giant leaps to change your life. What you need is to point yourself firmly in the direction of your goal and keep moving. Even a small effort, repeated with faith and discipline, builds results. Your daily actions, even the smallest ones, are like bricks. You may not see the structure at first, but if you keep laying those bricks every day, you will eventually build something unshakable. The pursuit creates the transformation. The pursuit builds the belief. The pursuit becomes the proof. People often wait to feel motivated before they act, but it is pursuit that creates motivation, not the other way around. When you pursue something with commitment, your mind begins to adapt. You begin to identify with the journey. You stop asking whether you're capable and begin proving it through effort. You develop habits, patterns, and internal standards that align with your goal. The process reshapes you. It demands your evolution. It draws out capacities you did not know you had. It sharpens your discipline and reveals your potential, not all at once, but through the rhythm of consistent striving. The path you walk shapes your identity. Every step forward ingrains a new version of you. The person who rises early to learn, to practice, or to improve is not just moving toward a goal. They are becoming someone new. The transformation is not separate from the journey. It is the journey. To pursue something worthy with heart, mind, and discipline is to allow that pursuit to refine and elevate you. You may begin the journey with hope, but you finish it with strength built by repeated effort and unwavering focus. What you pursue with consistency will not only change what you achieve, it will change who you are.